My name is Olivia, and I'm in my final year at Ridgeway High, an old school tucked away near the edge of town, surrounded by thick woods and rusting chain-link fences. Behind the gym, there's an overgrown sports field that no one uses anymore. The school claimed it was closed off due to bad drainage and uneven ground, but everyone knew the real reason. No one goes near the back fence. The fence is covered in vines and leans at odd angles. Beyond it is just forest, thick, dark, and oddly quiet. Some students say they've seen a girl standing just beyond the fence line, staring at them, even when no one was supposed to be there. They call her the fence girl. I never believed any of it, until I saw her myself. It was after cheer practice, close to sunset. I went behind the gym to grab my forgotten water bottle and glanced toward the field. And there she was. A girl in a pale dress, barefoot, hair wet. Like she'd just come out of the rain, she stood right behind the fence, still, watching me. When I blinked, she was gone. I started asking around, but most people either shrugged it off or told me, flatly, to stop digging. "Don't mess with that story," one of the lunch aides warned me. "She doesn't like being remembered." But my friend Ben had an older brother who graduated in 2001. I asked him if he knew anything. "Isabel Hart," he said, as if the name left a bad taste in his mouth. "She went missing in the spring of '98. I remember because it was just before prom. No one found her, not a body, not even a clue, except her shoe." He said the whole school was shaken. Isabel had gone behind the gym for gym class warm-ups and never returned. Her backpack was found near the back fence, unzipped, like she was in a rush. Her shoe was resting against the fence post, as if someone had placed it there intentionally. Students started seeing things not long after. A girl by the fence, pale, wet, barefoot. She never moved. She just stood there, waiting. The school stopped, using the field the next semester. That night, I did something stupid. I searched the school's digital archives, took hours to find her yearbook photo. When I did, my chest tightened. The face was the same as the one I saw behind the fence. Same pale dress, same dead expression, same long wet hair, like she had drowned and been dragged back into the world. I slammed my laptop shut. My room was pitch black now. I turned on my lamp and froze. Across the room, on my carpet, were footprints, wet, bare, leading from my window to the foot of my bed. I forced myself to look out the window, and there she was, under the street lamp, closer than before, still watching. I didn't go to school the next day. My hands wouldn't stop shaking, and I kept staring at the window, but deep down, I knew hiding wouldn't change anything. Isabel was coming for me, and I needed to know why. I returned to the field just before sunset. The grass was wet, even though it hadn't rained. Fog curled low across the ground, and the gym cast long shadows behind me. I approached the fence, now half swallowed by vines and rust. That's when I heard the whisper. "Help me." It wasn't a voice in my head. It was real. It came from just beyond the fence. I moved the vines aside and found something I hadn't noticed before, a narrow gap in the chain link, just wide enough to squeeze through. I hesitated. Every instinct screamed no, but I stepped in. Beyond the fence, the woods were twisted and strange. Trees were stripped of bark, their branches black and cracked like old bones. A heavy, unnatural cold blanketed the area. After only a few steps, I found them. Student ID cards nailed to the trees, old ones, yellowed with time. I recognized none of the faces, until I saw one with Ben scratched across it. Then another that looked eerily like my mom in her teens. And then, mine. Fresh, hanging from the last branch in the line. My photo still crisp. The year, next year. I turned, my breath clouding in front of me. And there she was, Isabel. No longer by the fence. She was just feet away, standing in the center of the clearing. Her eyes were wide open now, fully black. Her mouth hung loose, whispering, soundlessly. Her skin looked bruised, sagging, like it hadn't known warmth in decades. Her arms rose slowly. Twigs cracked as her fingers stretched inhumanly long. Then she took one step toward me, and the forest erupted with noise, screams, cries, breaking branches, all layered on top of each other like dozens of voices trapped in a loop. I turned and ran, heart pounding in my throat. The air was thick, heavy, like running through water. I stumbled out through the fence and fell to the grass behind the gym. Ben found me hours later, curled on the bleachers with muddy feet, dirt under my nails, and blood on my palm. I didn't remember cutting myself. The gap in the fence? Gone. No path, no clearing. It was like it had never existed. But I knew better, because every day since I've seen her. At first by the fence, then by the gym, and now she's standing in the hall by my locker, waiting, and her lips are moving again. You came back. Now it's your turn. I never believed in school ghost stories until I transferred to Fairmont High in my senior year. It was an old building, brick walls cracked by time, and long, flickering hallways that always smelled faintly of mold. There was one room students never spoke about, room 313. It was at the far end of the third floor, door always locked. When I asked about it, I got weird looks. Storage, one kid muttered. A teacher quickly changed the subject when I brought it up in class. But one afternoon, I stayed late to finish a project. I had to return some supplies to the third floor. The hallway was eerily silent. My footsteps echoed too loudly. Then I noticed it. The door to room 313 was open, just slightly, a thin sliver of darkness inside. I don't know why I walked toward it. Maybe curiosity, maybe something else. But as I reached the door, it creaked open further on its own. The air changed, heavy, cold. I saw old desks, chairs stacked in odd patterns, and something scratched into the floorboards. A name. Elise Monroe, 1987. Suddenly the lights buzzed above me and went out. Panicked, I flicked on my phone's flashlight. The beam caught a figure in the back of the room. A girl, sitting at a desk. Long black hair, school uniform too outdated. Her head was tilted down, scribbling something furiously into a notebook. Her hand moved unnaturally fast, like it wasn't writing, but scratching something over and over. "Elise?" I whispered. She stopped. Without lifting her head, her entire body seemed to stiffen. Then, slowly, bone-creakingly slow, she turned her head toward me. Her face wasn't right. It shimmered like heat rising off pavement. No eyes, just deep, dark hollows. Her mouth was moving, but no sound came out, just a dry hiss like paper tearing. I stepped back, heart racing. Suddenly, the lights above me buzzed and blinked violently. A wave of cold rushed through me. The girl lifted one hand and pointed, directly at me. Then, everything went black. When the lights returned, she was gone. The desk was gone. So was the notebook. Nothing left except the name etched into the floor, Elise Monroe, with a new line just beneath it. Emily. That was my name. I ran all the way home. The next morning, I told my friend Leah everything. Her expression changed from curiosity to horror. "Elise Monroe disappeared during a history exam in that exact room," she said, lowering her voice. "It was sealed right after. They say she was the last person to ever sit in that classroom." That night, I had a dream. Or maybe it wasn't. A dream. I was sitting at a wooden desk, the room cold and dim. In front of me was a blank exam paper with one question written in red, shaky ink. Do you remember who you are? I stared at it, confused. And then I saw my name vanish from the top corner of the paper, letter by letter. When I woke up, my fingers were covered in smudged ink, and carved deep into the underside of my real-life desk, where I'd never touched with a blade, were two names. Elise Monroe, Emily R. Carter, mine, right beneath hers. I tried to avoid the third floor after that, but it felt like the school wasn't letting me. Every hallway somehow twisted toward room 313. Every locked door had scratches. Every shadow lingered too long. That Friday, I opened my locker to find a paper I hadn't put there. No envelope, no explanation. Just one sentence. Finish what? I couldn't. E. Monroe. I felt a strange pull, like someone tugging at the back of my mind. I waited until the halls emptied and went up to room 313. The door was wide open this time. Inside, the desks had returned, perfectly aligned. The chalkboard had changed. A list of names was written in chalk, some half erased, some bold and clear. Mine was the newest. I could barely breathe. The door slammed shut behind me with a sound like thunder. I ran to it, locked. A voice whispered behind me. You took her seat. I turned. Elise stood inches away. Her skin looked like paper left out in the rain, wrinkled, sagging, torn. Her mouth stretched into a grotesque smile. Her hollow eyes seemed to see through me. And then the room changed. Desks stretched into the distance, more than any school could hold. In each sat a student, frozen mid-scream. Some were dressed like it was the 80s, others even older. I recognized one from a missing poster I saw years ago. In the center of it all was a glowing desk with my name engraved on it. I was pulled toward it by invisible force. My legs moved without my command. When I sat, I couldn't get up. The exam paper reappeared in front of me. This time, it was full. Every question asked something deeply personal, traumas I never shared, regrets I had buried, secrets I never told a soul. And at the bottom, sign your name to stay. Leave it blank to disappear. I couldn't stop my hand. Elise leaned close, her voice a breath in my ear. This is your detention, forever. The last thing I saw before everything went black was her picking up her old notebook. She sat down next to me and started writing a new name. My name is Tyler, and I transferred to Ridgeview High School midway through junior year. It wasn't the move I wanted. My dad got relocated for work, and we had to settle in a small, quiet town in Illinois. From day one, Ridgeview felt off. The halls were colder than they should have been, and everyone walked a little too fast between classes, eyes down, like they were trying to avoid something. On my first day, I was assigned locker 93, bottom row, end of the east wing. When I found it, I noticed the lockers around it were all scratched and dented like something had pushed out from inside. Mine looked perfectly clean, except for a sticker on the inside door. It read, "Don't open after 3:33 p.m. At first, I thought it was a joke, until I mentioned it to the girl sitting next to me in history. Her name was Anna, and she froze when I brought it up. "They gave you 93, she whispered. "That locker hasn't had a student in years." She never explained why. But that day, my last class ended late. I passed by my locker at 3:34 p.m., and the door was already open. I stood still. I was sure I'd locked it that morning, but the door was wide open now, and there was something new inside. An old, faded photo of a student taped to the back wall. His face was smudged, but someone had scratched "He never left" over the top. That night at home, I kept hearing metal creaking, like a locker being slowly closed and opened again. But I was in bed. It couldn't be real. Next day, Anna avoided me. She finally messaged me that evening. Don't go back to it. People who use Locker 93 too long start hearing things, seeing things. Some never stop. I laughed it off until I opened my locker again the next morning and found another photo. This time, it was me, sitting in class, taken from behind. I hadn't seen anyone near me all day. I slammed the locker shut and went to the front office to request a different one. The lady at the desk stared at me blankly. "There is no Locker 93, she said. I thought she was messing with me, so I went back. It was gone. Where 93 had been, there was only smooth wall, no seams, no hinges, as if the locker had never existed. But that night, at exactly 3:33 a.m., my phone buzzed. One new picture. It was the photo of me again. Only this time, I wasn't alone in the frame. There was a figure in the back, half-shadowed, pale, grinning, watching me. I tried to ignore it. I deleted the photo, changed my schedule, even walked around the other end of the school to avoid the East Wing. I told myself it was just some elaborate prank, or maybe a mental breakdown from stress. But the strange things followed me. Whispers in empty classrooms, my name written backward on fogged windows, and reflections in bathroom mirrors that would linger a split second too long. I even stopped opening my new locker, afraid of what I might find. One Monday morning, I got to school early. Too early. The halls were silent, still dimly lit. And there, taped to my new locker, on the opposite side of the school, was that same chilling sticker. Don't open after 3:33 p.m. I didn't touch it. But when I turned around, I heard something metallic slam shut far down the corridor. I knew where it came from. I shouldn't have walked toward it, but something pulled me, curiosity mixed with dread. The East Wing was colder than usual. The light above Locker 93 flickered violently. My heart pounded harder with each step. I stared in disbelief. It was back, right where it used to be, as if it had never disappeared. The number 93 was etched into the metal in what looked like fresh fingernail scratches. The door wasn't just slightly ajar, it was wide open. Inside there was only blackness. It was as if the space behind it defied depth, a void that stretched further than the eye could follow. I leaned closer, gripping the edge with trembling fingers. And then, something leaned back. A hand emerged, thin, elongated, the skin stretched, tight over bone, colourless and cold-looking. It didn't grab me, it just rested on the locker frame, gently tapping a long, dirty fingernail, like it was waiting. I backed away slowly, eyes locked on the darkness. Then something whispered, not in my ear, but inside my head. You opened it after 3:33. I turned and ran. I didn't stop until I reached the street outside. I skipped the rest of the day. When I came back the next morning, the locker was gone again. The East Wing wall was bare. No marks, no seam, nothing to prove it was ever there. I tried to forget, but the nightmares haven't let me. Every night, at exactly 3:33 a.m., I wake up. Sometimes I find my phone turned on, and there's always a photo. Each one shows me asleep in bed, taken from just inches away. But last night's photo, it showed me sleeping, and the locker was open behind me.